Hey everybody, Marty Sleva here alongside Nathan Vella from Capybara Games. Nathan, you came down from Canada.
I'm here again.
Yeah.
All the way. I fly back to Toronto every day and
For
then fly
each of
back
these
here.
videos. I know, it's been amazing for
Yeah.
you. It's,
I basically have been living on an airplane.
Yeah, well that's pretty exciting. It's like that George Clooney movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm basically George Clooney.
Yeah, sure. I was talking about Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
exactly.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Big copies.
Yeah. So we're here with Super Time Force, which if you've been following our podcast and our articles, we've been super hyped for the last few years. And it's finally, hopefully, coming out very soon.
Yeah. We're looking May June-ish.
May June-ish on. We're playing on 360, also coming to Xbox One. So this is part 3 of our series. We've had go back and if you haven't seen them, check out our intro video, and then our trip through Atlantis, which ended with spoilers, killing a giant, terrifying squid.
Yep.
What are we gonna do right now? What are we seeing? This is a Dino playing hoops.
Yeah. It's a Dino playing hoops. We're actually gonna hop into the Jurassic era.
Okay.
So, again, Commander Pietzky not necessarily the best at doing things that are very effective.
Sure.
In this case, he really wants to save the dinosaurs from extinction.
Okay.
Seems like a smart call.
Well, he just killed a couple of them, so that's
yeah,
not
that's
good
okay.
business.
Collateral damage,
Yeah,
collateral
there you
dino
go. There you
damage. So yeah, we're gonna go back in time to the Jurassic era, not the Jurassic Park era.
Sure,
Again, don't
just
want to get
Jurassic
sued.
No one's getting sued here.
And we're gonna murder some dinosaurs while trying to save them.
Okay, well that's good.
So yeah, every level in the game, every world in the game is basically about the Super Time Force trying to right some kind of ridiculous wrong that happened throughout time. And the lack of dinosaurs in our present day world is kind of messed up. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
bumming them
I think it'd be pretty rad to have dinosaurs. So
I mean, anyone who's seen the movie Jurassic Park knows that there's no way that could turn out badly.
yeah, it's turned out very well actually. You can go back. You can basically fight your way through a lot of these time periods by choosing a lot of the different characters. And a lot of the levels are meant to be give you a heck of a lot of challenge.
Yeah.
There's a point in development where we were playing around with, maybe we can make the game a little bit easier or a little bit, more player friendly for new folks. But instead, we decided that we were just going to make it tough as nails and really force people to think about how the time rewind mechanic and how death in this game is actually super important to it.
Yeah. I feel like we're in a good period right now where there's a lot of games that are super tough, but they respect the player. They're not tough in cheap ways. Things like Dark Souls, Meat Boy.
Yep. You're not
Isaac.
gonna die in this game because we secretly hide something and it pops out and murders you. You're always going to die because you got shot by something that you could have killed, or you ran into something you shouldn't have run into. It's going to force you to think a lot about what characters you're using and when you're using them and why you're using them. And if a player wants to, they can just play as Jean Rambois the entire game.
Okay.
They don't need to save any characters. They don't need to play as anybody else. But a different character or a different player might decide to use the characters very strategically. Play as the defensive character to stop their teammates from dying so they can team up with them and have the extra hit points. They might decide that, in this situation I can hide behind this wall and play as Amy McKillen and snipe through the wall because her gun will actually blast through walls.
Okay, nice.
And all of those different characters and all of the different kind of selections of how you choose to use characters let you really play the game in a different style. And for us, if we're going to make a really hard game, we have to make sure that the player can play it whatever way they want.
Sure, you have to make sure they go all in. Yeah.
It's not a one style and that's all. It's a kind of a, pick your path through the game. And
so what sort of iterative process was there throughout development in when you said you guys sort of contemplated reining it back a little bit, what would that have included? Just different difficulty levels? Or?
We talked a lot about difficulty levels. We also talked a bunch about getting rid of the time limits. We talked a bunch about maybe we can just have maybe you have a health bar. You don't die with one hit necessarily. There's a whole bunch of discussion around it, and there's also a whole lot of discussion around how does the time mechanic actually even work? The original version of the game automatically rewound you back to the start every time that you died. It was kind of out of your control.
Was that a version that was at PAX?
That was the original version that we showed at PAX after 30 days of making the game. But we really wanted to make sure that at every point, and that's why you can pick any character at any point. That's why you can choose to time out wherever you want. That's why you can scrub through whenever you want. You're in complete control of the game, and that's why I think the challenge kind of works. That's why you can fight through a really hard part of the game. And that's why you can fight a dinosaur who, at this point, is just a bullet sponge for some reason. I wonder why.
I don't know.
I wonder why.
Maybe are we gonna find out?
Yeah, we'll probably find out pretty soon.
I like that. What was it, Zachosaurus? Holy crap! Look at that. That was a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, you might. It's the survival of the fittest.
Yeah, there you go. That guy's obviously the fittest because he's got armor and he's got a cannon on his temple.
Yeah, you're gonna see throughout the game that as you progress, there's more and more robots attacking you,
Okay.
and the robots' impact, the Bloundbots' impact on the world increases as you go through.
So you're
the
not the
levels.
only one who's trying to change history. You're trying to change history for the better.
You are trying to, and Dr. Infinity trying to mess you up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
He's definitely not a rad dude.
So Zexorus is a tagger.
Yes, I mean, he's the coolest dude.
Sure.
Graffiti is pretty much the coolest thing you can
It
think
is the
of,
coolest
right?
thing. Yeah, I mean, tagging buses, big fan.
Yeah, tagging bathroom stalls.
Bathroom stalls. Yeah, people who are sleeping.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's I have many occurrence of that in my life.
So yeah, I mean, you're obviously seeing from this, like, eventually, if you're rewinding multiple times, you have, 10, 20 versions of yourself on screen at once. Did you guys ever think about a multiplayer mode?
Yeah, we talked a bunch about it, but for us, the focus on making a really fun, super challenging run and gun platformer was more important to us than spending time to try to figure out a way to kind of shoehorn development of a multiplayer version.
Sure.
That, and it's also really, really hard to make a game about time travel.
Yeah.
There's, we're here for GDC, and Kenneth Young, the co-creator and person who is showing the game right now, and also the lead programmer on the game, is actually giving a talk about how challenging it is to make a game that involves time travel, because there's so many things that you take for granted. Like, oh, why don't we just like have this switch flip and this thing drops down, and you're like, well, what if somebody hits that switch faster?
Yeah.
Or what if you die before the switch finishes?
Yeah,
And what if you rewind in the middle of the switch being flipped? And basically, it just created a lot of these insane super challenges that meant that even doing something like multiplayer was ridiculously hard. And so we the main reason why we didn't do it though is that we really believe in making a super focused game.
Sure.
A game that's all about kind of taking this really interesting time travel mechanic and the idea of playing single player co-op and taking it as far as we can possibly take it. Making the levels as crazy as possible, making the jokes as ridiculous as possible, and trying to do as much as we possibly can to make sure the player is going to have a totally crazy experience playing.
That's awesome.
Playing a ridiculous game.
Yeah, so that's one of the things we were glossing over. In their intro video, we saw the intro cutscene, but the game's funny.
It's meant, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of games aren't funny.
We really do our best to make it feel like the culmination of all of our ridiculously bad senses of humor.
Yeah.
Riffing on a lot of the 80s films and 90s films that we love, but also trying to call out the fact that sometimes games that games can be kind of stupid and still ridiculously hard at the same time.
Exactly.
And
I feel like those are the games we grew up on. If you really try to stop and think about any NES game or any arcade game, most of them are real dumb.
Yeah, Battletoads is probably the dumbest game
those
that
guys
I've
were
ever
rad,
seen.
though.
And that's they're super cool.
Yeah. That is amazing.
So yeah, the game, really it is, we at the studio we have a pretty, most of the time is spent joking about things while making games or joking about things while not even making games.
And then realizing, hey, we should put this in the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that it really is. This game is the first chance that we've had to really go balls to the wall, ridiculous jokes.
Yeah, kitchen sink it.
Yeah, and there's a whole lot of stuff hidden in the game that you won't even really notice on your first playthrough. In the background, a cop in a crash car eating donuts repeatedly. Because what's not funny about cops eating donuts?
I think that's prime comedy. That was one of George Carlin's 7 pillars of comedy.
Exactly.
So this is, it's safe to say this is the funniest game in Canadian history.
Yeah. Canadians typically known for being the funniest people on the planet.
Sure,
yeah. The most apologetic.
I played
and
Far
the
Cry
funniest.
2. I know how funny.
Yeah, that game is hilarious.
Yeah.
Malaria?
Yeah.
What's funnier
Malarious.
than that? Oh, that was good.
All right, so this was part 3 of our 5-part series on Super Time Force. We're going to have a lot more for you, so for more on Capybara and Super Time Force, keep it here on IGN.
Don't go anywhere.